Good afternoon. Welcome to BX Live at Lunch. We are here, as always, every Wednesday around lunchtime. It is Allie and Zach and Jason. If you want to give us a follow on our Instagram handles, they are right there. You can ask us any questions from there. If you have questions while we're live, we can answer you. Just hit the comments down below. Instagram, always good to see you guys. It's the same thing. If you guys want to hit the questions down below, we will be able to follow you and answer your questions as we move along. Today's topic is nutrition fundamentals. What's a macronutrient? Why do we need macros? Do I need to count macros? What's a calorie? Should I count calories? And if I'm on keto or paleo, is that the best way for me to do what I need to do? Why do people do those? And any other questions that you may have as we go. Again, if you want to just say hi, please do that as well. But we thank you guys for watching, and we are going to start out with calories. Zach, give us a big lead into calories.
So you hear a lot of people track their calories in terms of how much they eat, also looking at how much they burn during a workout, but it's important to know exactly why we're doing that. So calories, essentially, if you think about an inverse out system, you're outputting calories as a measure of work, and you're inputting calories in terms of what you're eating. So it's important to find a good balance there to either lose weight, gain weight, or stay the same.
So the calorie is essentially a measure of energy. Just think of it as gas. And as you continue to go throughout your day, your body's always burning that energy and always burning that gas. And at some points in time throughout the day, you have to refuel it. And we use the number of calories to gauge what's going on through that day. Got anything on calories? No. So as we move through calories, you've heard the term BMR, and that stands for the basal metabolic rate. And the basal metabolic rate is the amount of calories you burn when you do absolutely nothing. Now, if you have a Fit watch, you guys have Fit watches or a Fit Tech, they'll give you the terms active calories and non-active calories. Does yours do that?
I haven't really dove into it that much, honestly.
It's active, and then I don't think it doesn't say non-active, but it's a different term for it.
But the active calories are the calories you're burning when you're doing something. And then when you first get it, you're supposed to put in your information, and it can determine a roundabout number that you do as far as your calories throughout the day. So that way your overall calories burned have some form of formula that they do in. Oh man, we got a good group today. So as far as your active calories, when you are exercising and your goal is to lose weight, the goal is to burn more calories than you take in. And our calories come from the density in the nutrient density in our food. So different forms of nutrients carry different forms of calories, or not different forms of calories, they carry different number of calories. So that way when we eat our food, our body has to use those calories or use the food, and it disperses the nutrients throughout our body based on what we need. So if we're working out and we're breaking down muscle, where are we getting our calories from for that? Protein. And if you guys look, most people will say something along there's 3 macronutrients, but there's more than 3 macronutrients, but a lot of people really just measure those 3 primary macronutrients, because if you have a good source of those macronutrients, then you're going to find a number of the smaller nutrients in there that will help you live a healthy lifestyle. Can you tell us what those 3 macronutrients are that we tend to use? And then the other ones, if you want to go into those too.
So the 3 main ones are proteins, our carbs, and our fats. Proteins are your building blocks. Your carbs are kind of like your energy sources, and your fats are your
they help with that metabolism, and keep your stomach full.
But so those are the ones that you hear about the most, and are your main, what your foods are mostly made up of a protein, fat, or carb. But there's a couple that are, I guess they're essential, but they're not as readily talked about, and that's water, vitamins, and minerals. So your foods are made up of those 3 as well, and they are super important. So if you're not eating the right amount of food, you're not getting the water intake, you're not getting your vitamins, you're not getting your minerals, which are kind of like the helpers and assisters of protein, carbs, and fats. So that is why eating leafy greens are good. That is why eating fruits are good. That is why eating other things other than cupcakes and chocolate.
But chocolate comes from a plant. Yeah, no, but it's also added sugar and all the other
Chocolate's
stuff.
not a vegetable, Jason?
It's
What?
not a vegetable. Oh man. All right, so now when you're making your food, you want to minimize the amount of processed food you have. If it comes in a box, the more hands it crosses, the less nutrients it's actually going to have, unless they are infused in there by some form of process inside whatever lab they are coming from, or whatever factory they're being made in. So when you go to the grocery store and you see the foods on the outside of the aisle that either are wrapped in like a band or just a little bit of that plastic, they might be somewhat chopped up, but they look like they're whole foods. Those are the foods you really want to go into. And then as far as the meats go, meat's going to be meat, but you want to minimize the amount of processed and fake meat, like the cased meats, like sausages, hot dogs, the meats in the cans, if you're going to have meat. So look still along the outside edges. So all those foods that come from minimally processed areas are where you want to find, or what you're going to find when you're going outside the grocery store. Now, what role do our calories have in everything else? So if you're trying to maintain weight or gain weight, you're going to equal the output from your intake. So if you're trying to gain weight, you're going to exceed the output from your intake. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, so now we're going into fad diets. What are some of the fad diets that you guys have heard or seen or have been asked about?
Keto.
Keto. What is keto?
Keto is low carb, essentially.
High fat.
Yep.
Low carb, high fat. So it is an attempt to put your body into a state called ketosis, where it uses fat molecules, it puts fat molecules in the blood for your energy source, as opposed to sugar or glycogen, or however the body is going to process it. And it is somewhat of an emergency version of, oh, we don't have enough of these carbohydrates, so when we have enough of these fats, we can make sure that the body is in this state of ketosis, which will allow us to still have energy when instead of taking the energy directly from our muscle tissue, which is also a possibility if you don't put your macronutrients in while you're in keto in the right order. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And essentially what happens from keto when people tend to lose weight from keto, it's not that they are losing weight because keto has done anything special. They're losing weight because by cutting out a specific nutrient, they are minimizing their capacity to take in more calories. So it's very hard to just eat all fats or to eat a lot of calories by eating a majority of fats and a minimum of, I think, less than 25% carbohydrates from a certain amount of vegetables. And then any other fad diets that you could think of before we move on past this?
I mean, paleo's one, but I myself don't really consider paleo. I mean, like whole 30 paleo. I don't know if that's fad diet or not, but
yeah. I mean, paleo being somewhat fatty.
Yeah, I think it's a fad diet because of the name, but I think the basis of paleo are better than some, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Good deal. Do you have anything you want to add to the end of the nutrition talk as we continue to move forward? No. All right. So as we continue to go on, we've gone over calories, macros. Now we're going to talk about how to create your plate or your menu for that day. So if a percentage that I would like to use as far as macros go would be 40% carbs, 35% of protein, and 25% fat. And there are other percentages around, but we use this one because it ends up making your plate look a lot more vegetable based, which is kind of where you want to go to, because you can still get a good number of all the others when you fill your plate with vegetables and chewable vegetables. If you ever try to eat vegetables throughout the entire day, a lot of the times it gets tiring just to eat the vegetables. But they are also filling over the long term when you have fibrous vegetables that you're getting your vitamins and minerals from. And then when you add your protein in there, you have to watch the amount of fat that you're adding in with the protein. So we're looking at lean proteins. And then from your carbohydrate sources are lean vegetables, some starches, and then your protein sources are lean meats and some combination of vegetable and grain. And then your fats generally come from some of the vegetables and then some of the meats. You don't need to add an extra fat in there. Just some portions of the meat are fattier than others, and then that tends to be what we take in. So there, we're going to go ahead and close our nutrition talk on that. If you have any other questions, please feel free to see us in the gym or message us right here below this. Thank you guys for watching, and that is this week's BX Live at Lunch.
See ya.